These are the test results from the EPDM Mixing Experiment. We had two different levels of micropowder, 80 and 170 mesh. The micropowder was used at three different levels, and both samples are produced using the FRS process and are not the same as conventional regrind material, which would have tested completely differently. Here's a comparison of the particle size distribution of these samples. Both of the samples were quite similar. 70% of the material in both were retained on 200 mesh or smaller. The only difference is 1% was retained on 80 and 100 mesh in the 80 mesh specimen. Here are the rheometer curves from this experiment. All of the specimens fit within quite a narrow range. The first set of test results were from the 80 mesh samples. In the rheometer data, there was a small difference in ml. ml increased with increasing powder level. This is pretty common when working with micropowders. The higher viscosity naturally led to slightly faster T90. And scorch values also decreased with increasing powder level. There was no significant difference in the modulus of any of these samples. And there was only a slight decrease in tensile with high loadings of the micropowder. Elongation testing is within normal variability. In hardness, only 1 point difference among the samples. Now let's look at the 170 mesh samples. Again, there was an increase in ml with increased loading. There was a similar slight effect on TS2, with the higher viscosity samples giving the slightly faster TS2. And the cure rates were also slightly faster, which is consistent with the TS2 values. Tensile strength, once again, quite similar. Modulus, also minimal difference. Elongation, no difference among the samples. Hardness, the same results we got for the 80 mesh samples. Here's a side-by-side comparison of the tensile strength in this experiment. As you can see, there are really pretty minimal differences in tensile strength, even at the higher loadings between these two materials. In ml, the loading effect we noted earlier was similar in both of the samples. The Mooney viscosity values, ml1 plus 4 at 250 F, also reflect this increased viscosity with increased loading. In conclusion, there's minimal effect on physical properties of these micropowder samples under 20% in loading. There was an increasing viscosity and correspondingly slightly faster scorch with increased powder levels, but this is easy to adjust with plasticizer or process aid. And there were minimal differences between the 80 and 170 mesh samples in this experiment. Keep in mind that the 80 mesh sample here was produced using the FRS process. Materials produced using the cryogenic process would have tested completely differently. Thanks for watching.